Hey guys, it's Jen and Bryan from Advon with a little cameo by Zach, because that's what happens here in a workspace like this. So, Bryan has a question for me.
Yes, I have gotten some calls from our concierge and the amazing Tanine, and we get some interactions or interest where they've gone on to Zillow or Trulia, just one of the outlets that people have to go to.
Yes.
And I know that we can look at everything. Even our homepage, we're synchronized to the listings and things of that nature. So from time to time, we do get a call that per se is not our listing.
Okay.
What do you recommend, and what's the best option on that?
So sometimes people are probably looking to talk to the listing agent, which is fine, but my thought on that is it immediately brings to mind dual agency, and it is completely allowable in the state of Virginia. I just don't think that it's the best way to have representation. Dual agency is when the listing agent is trying to represent, and I say try very loosely, trying to represent both the buyer and the seller. And the reason I don't really like dual agency is because the listing agent has no negotiating power for the buyer. It's not really the best way to transact in real estate, because if you are the buyer and you come to the seller hoping that you're going to have representation, and you have the understanding that you will have representation, technically you do, because there is an agency sort with the dual agency. However, the agent can't really give any bias to either the buyer or the seller. So how do you have any sort of power in that situation if you're the buyer, or the seller for that matter, if your agent then has to basically go pacifist on you and can't really give you any sort of technique to buy or sell? It just doesn't really make the most sense for someone who's calling in and saying that they only want to speak to the listing agent. If they want to go in that route, it's obviously completely up to you, being that we're in a caveat emptor or buyer beware state. You just have to be very aware that when you're working in a dual agency situation, that the listing agent is earning the commission on both sides. It's just that you have less negotiating power, and the agent really has put you in a situation where they can't give you any sort of true technique or guidance, because they can't give favor in any way. Does that make sense?
Yes, so what I hear from that is at that point, you don't really have anybody that can advocate one way or the other because of the non-negotiations, because you have to stay non-biased.
That's true.
Okay.
But it is legal in Virginia. So it happens quite often. It's just not something that we advocate for.